Hello. Hi, everybody. It is Monday night. Hard to believe that weekend went fast, didn't it? But hello, I'm Lynell Ingram, and I am going to commence my live stream where I'm working on this painting. This is the 6th session from completely starting it, having nothing but the underpainting 6 sessions ago. And today the focus is going to be kind of finishing the background, the hair, and some other elements to wrap it all up. And then Thursday, Arasette, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thursday, you're going to do the makeup. That's the plan. And honestly, if I get more done today faster than I anticipate, then maybe I can start doing a little bit of that today also. But that's essentially what the plan is. And yeah, it's acrylic, 24 by 24 inch canvas. And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of ready. If I get more done today. Love the colorful get up. Looking forward to seeing how the background comes along. Oh, thank you. I do love this shirt. It's a design by illustrator Lisa Congdon. I really like her work. I saw her speak live a couple times and she was very inspiring. But yeah, I've had this for a while, but I do love it. It's starting to get like a little faded, but I refuse to ever let it go. Yeah, the background is getting close. Like, I actually really like the gray parts pretty well. It's mostly like what's here and a little bit here. So really, I should do well today. I think we'll be in good shape. And my goal is to finish this week. So fingers crossed. I have no idea. It's also a matter of fussing, because if it's up to me, I can fuss something forever and ever and ever. Pardon me. A little dry. Cam froze. I think it might be maybe the stream or on your end. I have it. Never mind. Was that okay? All right. Good. Because I have it in front. I do try to keep the stream running in front of me where I can see, so I can see both the chat and just make sure that I'm not breaking things. But so yeah, sometimes I just don't know what's happening. So my palette I've got here, I can zoom out a little bit, you can see. I have my palette precariously balanced below my painting. And I put down my slow dry medium. And now we will get my paint going. I'm feeling pretty good about this painting. I go back and forth on it. I look at it one minute, I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. And then a little while later, I'm like, it could be so much better. So I think that's just how it's going to be, because that's kind of the way it is with everything. And I sometimes look at some old things I did, and even things from like a year ago. Like, I wonder if I should revisit it. I wonder if I should go back and do this thing to it or do that thing to it, change it. And I've resisted that. A good part of my resistance with that has actually been because, like my acrylic paintings I varnished, so going back and doing anything on them that'd be a whole thing. And yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, once you finish it and you put it out in the world, deciding to go back and change it is certainly not, like, you can do what you want. But there's also this element of it was what it was meant to be, perhaps. And to change it changes the journey that I've taken somehow to get to a certain point. I don't know, maybe that's silly, but I guess everybody probably has their own take and opinion on such things. It's can be a little tricky to decide. But yeah, I mostly, okay, I did lie. There is one thing that I have done something to, and it's something that I did on stream. This Vivienne Westwood portrait I did some time ago, I went back and I added like a quote on it from her down in this section. I just wanted something to like break up the color there, and I really like this quote, and it adds like the impact of the meaning and why I think she's an interesting person. So, you know, I lie. It depends. Yeah, I really enjoyed making that one. I wouldn't mind doing more pieces like that where it's kind of like complete something in 1 or 2 streams and just go. Like smaller works maybe I could do some more of. We'll see. I have to decide on that. And I'm so far putting down my standard palette that I've been using for this piece thus far. Which is white, titanium white, yellow oxide, naphthol red, I don't know, I'm probably saying that wrong. Burnt sienna, and Payne's gray. Cat keeps opening the door in here, and come in, open the door, you don't close it behind you. To teach him to close the door behind him. I don't know, I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna start with that. I think that will allow me to do most things I want, but we will feel it out. All right, first things first, I'm going to not step on my cat. And I'm gonna mix in my colors with the slow dry medium that's on there already on the palette. And I've been using this paper palette. It's like a pad of palette papers. Go figure. Because I hold it mostly when I'm standing and working, and it kind of works well for that because it's lightweight. I don't love that it's something that you're disposing of, that it's like a one-time use thing when it doesn't have to be. So I struggle with that a little bit, but it's been better to work with in terms of just standing here and holding it for like a couple hours at a time, mostly. I don't know. Yeah, we all do the best we can, right? Try to figure it out as we go. But yeah, let's see. The prep stuff. The things that aren't exciting to watch or do necessarily, but you know, it doesn't really take very long. Really. I just use my cheapo plastic palette knife for this. Nothing fancy there. If I'm going to be using the palette knife as an like a tool to put stuff on the canvas, then I usually will use one of my nicer knives because I know the feel of it. I know how it's going to respond to the paint and control of pressure that I use with it. And I probably should have done all these colors backwards. I should have started with the white and worked my way back to the darker ones. I wouldn't have to worry so much about cleaning off every time, but it's fine. Who needs forethought and planning? Super overrated. Super, super overrated for sure. Well, usually Watson stays out of the room, but today he's parked himself on my little chair right behind me, so I have my little buddy here. Okay, what are we doing? I need a brush. What do we want? We'll start with a filbert. It's like 3/8 maybe inch filbert brush. I like these because you can kind of control some, you can have like a nice wide mark, or you can get a little more controlled line with it too. So it's a nice little versatile tool. And I am going to begin with mixing a little bit of a kind of purplish tone using my Payne's Gray and my red. It's going to be pretty neutral because there's a lot of gray in the Payne's Gray. It's got a blue tone to it, but it's not like an ultramarine or anything like that quite. So you can kind of see maybe how that's turning a little bit purple once I add a little white in there, but I want it to be cooler, so I'll go for a little more cooler shade here. It still feels warm. That might do. It's like a fairly neutral purplish color. Okay. And I'm going to be putting this, if I can adjust this light, it's giving me glare as well as the camera glare, so we're gonna adjust that a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna add this color up in this area, which should help kind of push it back without being a true, like without going full on black in here. It is crazy to me that it is, God, like a week away from Halloween, a week and a day. We're almost through October. Where has the time gone? It goes way too fast. But I did watch just a couple things. I've talked a little bit about how I was watching Lovecraft Country, and I did finish it. And I would say that I enjoyed it a lot. There's a lot that I liked about it. It felt very ambitious, that there was good characters, there was interesting story elements, and the historical tie-ins. It kind of became this historical fiction that had all these emotional elements to it. There were some things that weren't the most successful, and I don't know if that's because it ended up wrapping and they didn't have a chance to flesh out a couple things before it was determined that the show wasn't going to continue, maybe? I don't really know. But yeah, a few things felt like they weren't established well enough or fleshed out enough. There was a lot happening by the time it got to the end, and it felt like for everything that had happened, and some of the episodes were so fascinating and interesting, and then it just seemed to be like, okay, we're done. Now it's all done. All this happened, all these characters are dead, or this, that, or the other thing, and it's like, wait, what? I guess I get it, but why? Really? Somebody gets killed off screen. That's one I'm not a big fan of. But worth a watch. There were so many creative things that were really interesting with it. Like really great music, great soundtrack and score. What else? Visuals, good filmmaking. They use recordings, historical recordings and poetry and different things in really interesting ways. So for all those reasons, I would recommend it as a very interesting piece of like visual artwork and storytelling. Sometimes, yeah, character motivations got a little lost on me in a couple of spots. But I enjoyed everything else about it enough to essentially forgive those elements and not be bothered by it too much. I want to continue with the story. I don't know if anybody's seen any good scary movies for the month of October. I watched Uma yesterday, which is a newer film, and it was on Netflix. It was kind of a small scale story. A mother and daughter living kind of off the grid and just a couple other characters besides them. And it starred, the mother was Sandra Oh, who's a fantastic actress. Oh. Okay, my brush didn't hit the mic, but it sure hit the light. Whoops. Okay, so yeah, Sandra Oh was in it. I think she was actually an executive producer on the film. And it was a Sam Raimi production. And both the involvement of Sandra Oh as well as Sam Raimi made me curious about it. I liked it. It wasn't like super great and not maybe the most memorable, but I enjoyed it. It was, you know, like grief, guilt about family and the choices we make, and monsters metaphor in that way. We watched a stupid one last night. Can't remember the name. An 80s horror of a soldier reported dead, but he turned up at a home and he's all creepy. Okay. Honestly, the way the family were fine with his creepiness was the real horror. The premise almost reminds me, this wasn't an 80s movie, but... Oh, what was it called? No, I'm not gonna remember what I was gonna say either. The Guest. It's like a soldier comes back and I don't know. Yeah, it's an alright one. Forgettable too. It's like fine, but you're not gonna remember it. No. However long after you watch it, so yeah, whatever. There's so many like that. But you just never know when you're gonna find something really great, so sometimes you take those risks, right? I think I remember something about a soldier coming home in an 80s movie, but I don't think it's gonna be... It's not exactly the same premise, and I'm having a hard time quite placing it in my mind. And it might have had more to do... I think it might have been like a bad Christmas movie, actually, that I'm thinking about, so never mind. Oh, sorry, that was me bumping the mic. The detail you put into her collar. Oh, thank you. Gotta take the risk. That's why I watch also a lot of the new random movies that are just show up on the streaming services. Oh, this year, and you don't know anybody in it. You don't know who directed it. You don't know anything about it. And, you know, maybe the reviews aren't great, but there's also the scale of when you're talking about like scary movies. Really good horror movies, or ones that I really like, they just don't rate as highly, generally speaking, as regular movies do, so you gotta take that into account when you look at reviews. And you just don't know. You take a risk on something new that came out, and sometimes there's something really interesting or thoughtful, thought-provoking. At least maybe different than things we've seen before. The movie was so bad, the dad was trying to defend his son to the doctor who had suspicions the son wasn't right. The dad says my son would never kill anyone, completely ignoring the whole part. Like, well, he was a soldier, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I watched some bad movies. I watch a lot of bad movies. One of definitely the better ones that I've seen that I enjoyed quite a lot was a movie from Indonesia called Impedagor. I might have mentioned that in another stream because I think it was sometime last week, but that one was quite good. And then we watched one that was getting a lot of apparently good coverage or good reviews, fairly good reviews as far as these movies go, on Amazon, called Totally Killer, which has some elements that are spoofing the 80s slasher films, and it's kind of a teenager-ish story movie. Definitely. But it was cute. It was fun. It was light. A girl from today literally goes back in time to the 80s and try to stop a serial killer. I can say words. Southeast Asian horror is something else. Yeah, there's been some very good ones. There's been some very messed up ones. One of my favorite ones, it's kind of a long movie. It's a Korean film called The Wailing. That was a good one too. I would recommend that one. I think it's a little over 2 hours, I want to say, so you gotta be okay with sitting down for a bit to watch it, and it has some slow build elements also, which, as long as I'm engaged with the characters and somehow what's happening, I don't mind that at all. Lake Mungo, yes. I've seen Lake Mungo. I think that's it's very interesting in that it's done like a documentary about, and then it's kind of presented like it's, well, I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give away spoilers with that. It's a good creepy slow build one too. The end is sort of like You know, you think it's gonna be one thing, and then you're like, wait, oh, what? Holy cow. Yeah, I like that one. I like that. The Wailing is... Oh, gosh, now it's been a while since I've seen it. It's an investigation. There's been like a possession. Oh lordy. Yeah, the faux documentary. Yeah. How basic the cell phones were. Yeah, you're not kidding about that. I'm going to cheat here, and I'm going to pull up a little synopsis of The Wailing because yeah. Villagers investigate a mysterious new stranger and the killings that arrive with him. So there's like, there's a lot that goes on in that movie, and there's a lot of different characters and things, like who's the real bad guy and what is this thing, and but that's kind of it is a very simple description of it, but it's a good description from what I can remember about it. I actually should watch it again. I remember it being really interesting, very good. It's just been a while since I've seen it. And my memory sometimes not the best always. But I know I'd recommend it. From everything I do remember, there's some really striking elements and scenes, and there's just, yeah. Is anything what it seems to be? Is it wailing like crying? I want to Google. Yeah, I think so. Wow, I'm doing a really bad job. I'm recommending this movie, and I'm remembering so little from it that I'm kind of terrible. I think so. There's certain scenes that I remember really vividly, but it's like there's people being killed and going missing, and they're trying to figure out what it is. Is it just this person that's moved into the village, like, you know, the stranger's the bad guy kind of thing? Like, you're a stranger, you came here and these things are happening, so we're gonna go after you. So that's an element of it. And then there's an element of like supernatural. Is it supernatural? Is it just something that somebody's doing? Somebody's just being horrible. Oh, you know what really bad movie I watched? Now I can remember what the bad thing is. Was All Hallows Eve. It was on Joe Bob on Shudder, which is a show I usually like. It's like every Friday during his season. He's like a horror host for he's a horror host, movie host, kind of like an Elvira or Svengoolie or whatever. Going back to the 80s. I used to watch him back in the 90s when I was a teenager. Anyway, he's back on it. He does this on Shudder now, and the Halloween kind of episode is All Hallows Eve was one of the movies they showed, which is the guy that does the Terrifier movies. And if you've seen those with that Art the Clown character, they're kind of just known for, or I guess enjoyed for, being basically just gore fest films. They're just gore for the sake of gore. There's not really any point or anything to say. It's just, you know, I guess I'd say it would fall into the kind of like the torture porn category. of films, which I'm not a big fan of. And this one, All Hallows Eve, is the first. It's an anthology with it's like 3 stories with a container story, a babysitter container story. How original! And it's the first time that Art the Clown is everything. So that's his like debut, and it's very obviously low budget, but it was really bad. I thought it was really bad. And he was just talking about it like, oh, isn't this amazing for his first film and how great? And I'm like, really? Are we watching the same thing? Because I have a soft spot for low budget horror and stuff that isn't necessarily very good. If it's charming, if it's being interesting, if it's made in earnestness, but this was just really... Like, I guess the guy is really into doing effects and things, like, big fan of Tom Savini, I guess, is where he kind of picked up on that, which is fine, but I don't know. That on its own just doesn't do it for me. And the acting is not great, and the, just everything about it. It's not good. I would not recommend, unless you really like movies in the vein of Terrifier. If you're a Terrifier fan, you might enjoy watching this to see where it came from, where the director and the character came from, where they started out. But tell ya, not my thing. Not my thing. Sounds like a midday movie bad. Yeah, it's very much like very much not a PG film. And then the stupid decisions that the characters make is another thing. And that bothers me. I don't know. I don't know if I'm being too hard on it. I think I just don't like it. I don't like it. I didn't think it was very good, even for a first film, low budget first film, and I just... Nope. Just a lot of nope. However, I really like the first film they showed on the night. That was the second film of their 2-movie thing. Is a movie that I really do enjoy, and it was Demons 2. It's an Italian horror film from the 80s, and it's Dario Argento with a bunch of other similar directors of that era working together on it. And there's the first one is is fun. It's a good one too. The second one I enjoy more. It's kind of nonstop crazy, which is fun. It is ridiculous, but in the best way, I think. That's and it's a fun movie for if you're watching with people, have friends over for a movie day, watch some silly horror movies that you can laugh at and scream at the screen a little bit. Because that's half the fun of watching one of these movies, right? Just screaming at the screen a little bit. Why are you running upstairs? Of course you fell and twisted your ankle. Of course you did. Just the tropes, you know. A little bit. Take a little gander. Trying to control the amount of glare happening. If it looks quite dark, it kind of is. So, yeah. All right. Things are happening. Or less. Seems a wee bit flat to me. So all right, just using some very thin layers to kind of adjust. Just some very minor tweaks here and there. Let's see. I could never, like, I could just work on this to the point that I'll make myself insane. First, what kind of artist would I be if I didn't? Make myself a little crazy with my art. I think this might be some of my issue here. Chin got too light, maybe. not sure if I'm asking for trouble by applying the color kind of almost as a glaze here. I'm not sure that that's giving me what I want, so I'll get a little more brave with my mixing. I've been getting a lot of migraines lately. I'm one of those lucky people who gets chronic migraines, which is rather annoying. A really good one this week. When I say good, I don't really mean good. Frustrating when that happens. But every time I get a really bad one anymore, because I have like medications and things to try to help minimize how many I have and how bad they are. So when they do still break through and they're awful, every now and again I'll go on this like research trip. Start reading about, oh, has anything new happened in the field of understanding migraines? Maybe. So I was doing that again. And there's not much. Just since the last time I looked it up, there's which is just seems to be more obvious tie-in that of how the roles of hormones take. Whoa. That was too dark. Serotonin is a big deal in migraines. Gotta definitely let your art make you crazy. It's so true. I've been trying ink and brushes, and that's driving me mental. Oh yeah, I could it reacts so different than if you're used to using brushes, right? Or like not brushes, but paint with brushes, or if you're used to using pen. It's such a different thing. You just get in the feel for the kind of coverage you can get, and then it can vary depending on the type of ink you're using and the type of paper that you're putting it on. It can be a little maddening, but if you work at it a lot, you're gonna get just comfortable with it, with their materials, and it'll be great. But that's awesome. I love that you're experimenting with it and trying it out. And migraines they're kind of the worst, but I've had them for so long that you do get, it's always just sort of like, oh, this again, you know? It's frustrating, but definitely familiar. All right, let me just, I'm still fussing with things. It's so hard not to. Trying to tell if that's helping or making it worse. Yes. Huh. It's weird. Doing some strange things. This eye. No, I don't think that helped at all. All right. For some reason, my paint today is extremely tacky already. It's like I barely have been at this, right? Hasn't even been an hour. Maybe it's the heat being on. I don't know. That could be it. Okay, that's a little better, maybe. I think it's alright. Okay. Let me get into doing whatever to the hair. I'll step back and take a look. I have so much stuff everywhere in here. So out of hand. Paintings and things all over the floor. I'm glad you guys can't see it. It's quite a mess. Alright. Let's see. So I'm kind of just looking to decide how much I want to change or add. How much I want to add in terms of any detail or not with the hair. Because it's a little abstract at the moment. So I guess I just need to decide if I want to keep it that abstract, if I want to add more detail, and if so, how much and where. Okay, I'm gonna sneak on this side so I could see beyond the glare that's happening. When I was with my mom for a bit this weekend, I actually watched some of the movie Winchester. Now, I am a big horror movie person. My mother is not. But it had, I had not seen it. I don't know, I just hadn't been drawn to it. And it has Helen Mirren in it. And my mom is a fan of Helen Mirren, so she was like, oh, maybe this will be interesting. So we watched it, like, not full on attention with it, but got it mostly. And that was fine. That was an okay movie. I don't think it's something that would stick with me as something I would remember, but I think that the real story is more interesting in terms of the fact that the woman that was there, or the head of the Winchester, is that right? Am I saying that right? It's whatever the gun is. The heiress of that fortune back in, I don't know, when is the movie supposed to take place? The 30s, maybe? Like I said, not entirely paying attention to it, but she actually did do the thing where she built all these additions or changes to her house where it was hallways and rooms to nowhere, staircases and things to confuse spirits. I think also she didn't like herself being photographed. And I thought that was much more interesting than the movie itself ended up being. We were disappointed by the movie. Yeah. It definitely could have been better. And I want to reserve a little judgment in the sense that I was only kind of half watching it. But yeah, I don't know. I do think you are quite correct there. Okay. You know what? Before I do any more with the hair, I'm gonna do the nose. Like the makeup on the nose, red nose. I would like to maybe do that. Let me think, how will that go? We'll start a little smallish with it, and then I can build it up a little bit as I go. Decide how big I want it to be. And yeah, so many of the inspired by true events or whatever movies are really quite terrible. They often end up being quite terrible. But I got talking We actually watched the last half of one of the Conjuring movies, which I think are not deep movies, but they can be fun. They're like your popcorn horror movies, right? And again, inspired by true events, quote unquote. But I really like Patrick Wilson. And he's also, besides being a part of those movies, an amazing singer. So I was talking to my mom about that because he was in, I think, probably in terms of his singing, best known for his part as Raoul in The Phantom of the Opera. And the part was going to be on that movie where he sings for a moment. He does like a little brief version of Can't Help Falling in Love with You by Elvis. And so I'm like, oh, we should put it on. We can watch that part of it. So she actually sat through the rest of that movie with me too. Very much a trooper about that. I was surprised. But they're just silly movies. They're jump scares and standard horror stuff. And I'm going to say something crazy. And that the director of that movie, he also did like the Insidious movies and I think Annabelle, at least one or two of those, the whole movies. I was most interested by his movie Malignant, which is just nuts. Like absolutely ridiculous and nuts movie. It made me laugh so much, but it was fun. And it was weird. And it was definitely taking some chances. Where the other movies can feel very Hollywood, I think. But I enjoy them anyway. I liked that with the last Insidious movie, where Patrick Wilson actually directed it. It was trying to actually talk about something that mattered at all. Trauma in that one. The effects of having lived through the crazy things that the family did in the other two movies, that might actually affect a family. Too bright. Might be a little bit too shiny. I don't know that the shape is sweet. Right. Oh, might I do that differently? Let me think. I push this in a little bit. It looks too perfect at the moment, so what is it about Tuesday mornings? They don't want me to be busy lately, but you do not want. I hear you. Yeah, I'm not feeling it yet. I'm not entirely feeling it yet. I think I want to get a smaller brush. I'm looking at my reference for a second there. It gives me a lot better control to create. Make sure I'm not losing the structure of the nose as I want it. So both trying to preserve the shape of the nose as well as figure out how the makeup would actually look here. Yeah, Tuesday mornings for me are also kind of crazy, it seems, these days. I'm learning inks. Oh, I really am understanding the true value of a proper brush. It can make a big difference. It's true. Learning inks, I went to Daiso. Do you have that store there? A Japanese store where everything is $3.30. Anyway, I got one brush for $3.30 and a set of 3 for $3.30. And the set of 3 is such trash. And then today I Googled what brush the pro inkers use and it's $300. Oh, yeah. Well, you're going from extremes there. So don't worry too much about that. The right brush for the job makes a difference. There's no doubt about that. But you also don't need to have the most expensive tool that exists for it either. I mean, there's plenty of mid-tier things that will do you well. That store I am not familiar with here. I don't know if it just doesn't exist in like the Chicagoland area or if it's not kind of a US thing at all. Yeah, extremes for sure. I tend to buy pretty middle of the road brushes myself. I've bought a lot of cheap brushes in my day. I've abused a lot of cheap brushes in my day. And sometimes you go with what you can afford, because that's just, you know, reality sometimes. And then as you can afford better over time, you can upgrade things, but it's fine to have, you know, learning equipment. Yeah, would it be easier if you had that $300 brush? I'm sure, but you're still gonna master the same skills ultimately, so I wouldn't worry about that too much at this point, which brush you have. If you can afford to get something a little better, get something a little better. But, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. You can use a watercolor brush for, yeah, $300. It's the same thing across the board. If you have the money to spend, people will find something for you to spend. It will find the thing to convince you need to spend it on. In every area of every type of hobby and everything else. And there's no keeping up. But you can, I would almost get like a basic watercolor brush and just have it as like a dedicated ink brush. Maybe that would, I've certainly used those. There are, I have a couple somewhere. Maybe I don't. No. I don't actually. When I've had brushes that I've used here for ink, it's usually just it's usually a dedicated watercolor type brush. Something that's long enough bristles to hold a little bit of extra, like to get a nice flow. But I think that's it. You just need it to be able to hold a decent amount of whatever you're going to load into it, water, ink, and probably the longer, if you can find something that's even just a little bit long-ish, will give you the nice, like, ability to do some, like, liner type lines. But, yeah. Trying other watercolor brushes, yeah. Absolutely. It's experimenting, and then as you experiment, you'll get a feel for not just how it works, but how you want to work with it, which is a whole thing as well. No doubt about that. That's too dark. And overall, it just seems too intense. I think I'm thinking of when I was teaching still at the studio, doing some art classes for kids. We had a few brushes there that were like the Japanese style inking brushes. I think they've been donated. But I also don't think they had been, oh, I don't know what's happening here. I am screwing this up. Hey. Yeah, I mean, you can look at what's a mid-tier ink brush. If you want to do the Japanese style inking, they're very soft. It's just very like moppy kind of a brush. Oh my god, I don't know what's happening. I'm definitely making this worse as I go. So it goes. Anyway. Yeah, the main thing that I remember about those is that they're really, really soft, moppy brushes. So if you want to get something close to that, a sable style brush where like they don't hold their shape or point real well when you're working with it because it's just so soft. But you might want something that holds a really nice tip too. So it's all, you know, yeah, experimenting and just finding what you like, what works for you. I've probably done more with quills than with actual brushes and ink. So that I'm a little bit more familiar with, and those definitely don't have to be very expensive. Oh, man. What are we doing here? And why am I making such a mess of things? It's funny because I keep doing things, and then when I look at the screen for what the camera's picking up, I swear it doesn't look any different there. Making me a little, making me feel a little crazy. Like the further definition of her nose. Oh, thank you. I'm trying to figure out the right balance of maintaining the nose, but also having the right shape for the clown makeup, and I'm not necessarily sold on this, but I think we're probably gonna kind of let it be a little bit and start working on other areas and hopefully start to see it sort of come together as I keep going. The only place that I know of around here, I'm trying to think of where, if I wanted to get some nice Japanese brushes, not online, like go on person someplace to look for them. That would be, I want to say, there is a Japanese grocery store in my town that has like a bookstore inside of it, and that might be a place where I would look. They might have some things like that. I live near a pretty good art supply store also that would likely have some of that, and especially with like how popular manga is and kids loving that so much and wanting to know how to draw manga and all that. I would imagine it's pretty likely that they would carry some of that kind of thing. Still trying to decide if it's like too bright red. I am not certain. Just yet. Part of my issue is probably going to be the lighting in here, so I'll probably wait tomorrow morning, take a really good look at it in daylight, and decide, because it's it's dark outside right now. It got dark 2 hours ago. So wait for that to happen to see it at that point and decide if I think there needs to be more something different about the color and the shape and such. Probably leave it kinda basically where we are now in the meanwhile. Oh, went to clean off my brush and my water jar and I completely missed the job. Luckily I have like an old cutting board, one of those kind of rubbery cutting mats underneath there to protect the surface. Hey, tell you what? The destroyer of things. Lighting is so hard to get right even when you do never good enough versus actual daylight. Yeah, and then also like what works for lighting for recording or streaming doesn't necessarily also give me the best lighting for colors when I'm doing something like this. So it's a little fussy figuring it out. And sometimes, a lot of times it's fine and I can pretty much get it anyway. Every now and again though, not so much. Something will throw me off a little bit. Anyway, back to the hair, as I was mentioning before. And we're at what? Oh my gosh, 8:30. What was I thinking? Oh, I'm working on some new stuff. Kind of a relaunch, so to speak, of my art business, we'll say. That I'm kind of planning on having everything roll out on Friday. Fingers crossed that everything goes well. I don't completely lose my senses by then trying to get things done, but working on a new website and getting new art loaded up onto my shop and some different branding things, all kinds of stuff that I am working on. Hopefully by the time that I am doing my second stream for the week on Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day, you know, you guys know. I'll pretty much have it figured out and ready to roll with it. And can share some of that here. Hopefully. But yeah, working on website stuff. Oy. That'll test your patience. I'm staring at a computer screen for a day, a week, however long. Oh god, however long it's been. You work on that stuff. Absolutely makes me nuts. I'm starting to think I've gotten too specific in the hair. When I make a art site, it's just gonna be pure 90s HTML. Oh no! Might even throw in a dancing baby. Oh god, dancing baby, no. That sounds like a nightmare. In other words, go for it. Yeah, yikes. I'm now having flashbacks to when I was in college and I took one web design class and Dreamweaver was new. And that's what we were learning on. And boy, oh boy, that was something back then. Oh my goodness, there's a cat trying to climb my back. Hey you. Hey you. Are you trying to tear holes in my clothes? What you doing? I need to clip your nails, I know. Oh my goodness. Hey you. Can you let go? I really need to clip his nails. Ah! Oh. There we go. You're a cutie. You're very adorable. I'm not the scratcher though. Okay. So, really like the hair here, although I don't know, is it leaving a little green? And now that I'm looking at it, maybe the shape is a little, ouch, weird. Ow. Walking into things on the ground. There is a... Yeah, Dreamweaver still exists as a program. I think you can actually still use it if you want to. Who would want to? I don't know. That was the time. And Flash. I think we did something in Flash. Some kind of Flash animation, and I did such a bad job. It like broke the computer when I tried to play the one I made. Oh, yeah, it was not. Those were not good times. Needless to say. All right, breaking out the big guns. Oh my God, I'm making a mess. Yeah, big mess. What is happening? Okay. Oh, too late. Still too late. Really close to the color I laid down. I think I want to get rid of that strand altogether. I think I got rid of that one. Yeah, let's goodbye. Okay. I just need to make sure that's blended in enough that it doesn't look like I just did that when it dries. Okay, yeah, maybe. Just letting some of that blend in a little bit more. Sorry, baby cat. Now I'm kicking my cat. It's terrible. There's no floor space in here. Okay. My palette is a mess. Hi, Jim. Everything is a mess. Oh my goodness. What am I doing here? I don't know if I'm making things worse or better anymore. That's just where we are at the moment. My goodness. Hey. Having ale and hard cider here. And at the pumping station. Nice. That sounds like a good night. I have day-old coffee that I forgot I had. I haven't even taken a sip of it. Cold day-old coffee. I'm sure that will help. Let's see. Okay. Once in a while, I think I have a thought about it. Although, most of it will probably be just matters of making things not better. There's Watson. It is not time for supper yet. You have almost an hour to go. You might just be bored too. You know what I have not had yet this year is any pumpkin beers. Not necessarily always my favorite. I've had most that I've had I haven't cared for very much, but once in a while there's one that's not bad. Once in a while. Okay. I think I need to add a little bit more darks into the hair over here. I think. My cat is just over here being a giant flirt. It's making it hard to work. So, having trouble getting motivated to work on your illustration stuff. I know it's I can definitely struggle with motivation to do the things I know I need to or even want to do. The best thing I have figured out is just tiny steps. Like, if you're not sure, you're definitely going to want to draw, but you can put out your stuff. Like, set it all out. Prep your surface. Like, little steps to get you halfway there. Set up your space for it. Get your tea or whatever that makes you feel good. Make it dopamine worthy. Oh my goodness. Claws on my back. Ah! Okay. Hi, you're cute, but ow! What? No. Hold on. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna pull the scarf out of my hair. That's ridiculous cat. Get your workspace sorted. Yeah, I think that's, if you can even just do those little steps, because then it doesn't, like, the resistance I think comes from the bigger parts of it, right? The actually sitting down and doing that, making the creative decisions. The getting some stuff and moving stuff around, that's like an easy dip the toe in the pool kind of thing. Just start getting things ready yourself as well as your space a little bit. Yes, that was definitely a cat attack. He thinks he's adorable, and he is, but I need to clip his nails so bad. I get a couple of them here or there, but he's very tricky about letting me do it to him. Yeah, pumpkin beer is like a big thing here in October around here. And there'll be probably even more of it next month because of, in the US, the Thanksgiving holiday is pumpkin's always a big part of that. So we will have all those things. But yeah, not my favorite. You know what's really the worst? Is watermelon beer. That's just disgusting. Yeah, pumpkin everything. That's the truth. That is absolutely the thing here too. But in the summertime, if anybody ever offers you a watermelon beer, just say no. It's not okay. I think feeling like I'm kind of hitting a wall here. I'm not sure why. Let's see. I'm adding in a little bit of pink-ish color here. I don't know. Kind of just didn't want it to be completely white. I'm not sure that I'm loving that particular tone yet. Let me play around. Ah! Watson! Come on, mister. Oh, you're gonna bite me now. Come on. Keeps reaching for me with his, but he's like reaching for me and using his claws to do it. Taking out that extra hair was the right call. Now it looks like that hair bends back versus forward. Watson is the studio director and assistant and director some days. Definitely the director now. I think he's telling me that he hasn't liked something that I've done, probably, is what he's trying to get at. He's giving me his critiques. He is quite the critic. That one. Not sure if I'm really loving this or not. I'm gonna play with it a little bit more here. And I keep looking, I'm looking over there, looking at the screen, to see how this looks like from a distance, because I can't stand back too far away from it in here. That kind of gives me my view. Still have to start practicing MIG welding, and I want to learn blacksmithing. Ooh, I want to make penannular rings. That is really cool. It's so amazing what cool stuff that you get the opportunity to learn there. I love it. Most interesting thing that I've done, which was actually quite fun, was tufting. I don't think it really holds a candle to like blacksmithing or MIG welding, which is things that, you know, that's like on the one-day list with many other things. But I did get the piece that I did the tufting on back from the shop that I went to. And I have it here, and I could show you. I forgot. In just a second. Yeah, I definitely need some coffee, water, whatever. Second here. You know, I'm not hating it, but I think I can make it more cohesive by actually, I might add some yellows into it too, some real subtle, kind of like some tones from the hair, little warm bits here and there. Yeah. And it's probably kind of hard to tell what it is a little bit. It was based off of a really old illustration of mine that was a popsicle with an eyeball. But it's kind of, you know, for a first go at doing something like this, it was fun. It's got that new rug smell. It's pretty cool. It was a neat experience. Okay, so I can do a little bit of my idea about adding some little bits of yellow in there too. Just little suggestions of it. This is my thought. If I decide I hate it, I can always just put it back as it was. Repaint it with the whites and the grays. You have to be patient. You're a little terror, mister. Yes, you are. You are a little terror. Oh no! Ow! What's in again? Really? Okay. Alright, I guess we're doing this now. Yeah, I have a cat on my back. Say hi to everybody, Watson. Hey, you. You're such a stinker. Oh my goodness. Did you want to get a closer look at my painting? Is that what you're doing? Is that what we're doing? Maybe he just wanted a closer look. This is not the most comfortable position that I've ever painted in, but if I'm being honest, I have worked in worse. Of course, now you guys can't see what I'm doing. Ay. My goodness. All right. He's like a slug, yeah. Or a sloth, maybe. You just look, he just like hanging here. He's like, I'm good. I'm just gonna stay here. What's the one kind of art that would make you the most uncomfortable to do? Not necessarily physically, just like you don't approach it because it's a bit unnerving. Like, do you mean medium? Like working with a particular type of medium? And I was always super intimidated by oil painting, but I have dipped my toes into that pond a little bit. Not to the point that I feel like cattail the face. I don't feel like I am particularly proficient at it. There it goes. Oh. Oh, you are such a character. I was very intimidated for a long time, and I want to do more playing around with it. More experimenting, more learning. But otherwise, there are, yeah, that was a lot of cat butt. Sorry, guys. There are a lot of things that I find interesting and just... Yeah, I mean, things like the stuff that Jim is talking about doing, working with metals and, yeah, I think things that require a lot of chemical usage and understanding and know-how and a little bit more extra like safety awareness, that kind of tends to freak me out about getting into and trying, and I feel like I wouldn't want to do it without some kind of guidance, somebody there to like, you know, walk you through it, make sure you're not gonna, you know, burn your face off with chemicals or something. But I'm not sure that I can think of something where I'd just be like, I absolutely won't try that. I mean, there are a lot of things in life that I absolutely won't try, but when it comes to art, there's maybe not tattooing somebody. That would be terrifying for me, and I would imagine the person. Subject matter would be interesting to know. Jim's talk made me think about it. It's fascinating to me, and I have no idea where to start. I mean, yeah, it really is so cool. I love that there's so many different ways that people can be creative and artistic and things you don't even think about. I have a friend in the Netherlands that works with jewelry. Really beautiful, like casting bronze and such. It's incredible. But yeah, I never really seriously thought about trying to like make jewelry or work with things along those lines. It just seems very, I guess, kind of intimidating, and like you've got to have so much knowledge and a lot of safety protocols. I remember when I was in college, we had to take part of our freshman foundations classes was 3D classes, or at least one. Maybe there were two. It's been a while. And I remember I would always get so excited about our projects. Be like, oh, I got the coolest, this is going to be so much fun. I got the greatest idea. This will be cool. And then I would do it and it would be so terrible. I just started to believe that I just generally didn't have the eye or the capacity to do well with dimensional work. I really just started to think that that was just like, I just can't do that. And I am somebody who, as a whole, does struggle with spatial awareness, so maybe there is some, like, truth to that being something that is difficult for me. I don't know. But I love that. But in terms of subject matter, something that I wouldn't touch with subject matter? Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I do get into a lot of very personal things, a lot of very deep, dark stuff, I guess, with a lot of my work. So it's not that it would be something like that I would be like, I can't do, but you know what it would be? I would not paint myself naked. That I can tell you, I could say is a for sure. That would be my no-go. At least, I don't know, maybe when I'm like 70 I'll do it. Just to be subversive and ridiculous and have fun with the aging process, but I think that would probably be about it. The welding may seem intimidating, knowing you are using an electric arc hot enough to melt steel, but it's only in the tiny area where the MIG wire touching, so it's kind of awesome too. That is so cool. I 100% feel you on the dimensional thing. It wasn't until recently it clicked with me as to why I struggled so long. But as a school kid, I struggled so bad. Now I'm practicing at my pace and I got it. Heck yeah, love to hear that. I think that I took every art class I could when I was in like high school. And I always did well until I got into ceramics. And I think that was the only class in all of high school that I ever got a D in. That was brutal. But many years later, I actually took a ceramics class. There's a place downtown in my town, actually. And it is like one of those where you can go there and they do the party paint ceramics silliness, which is, you know, great for creative stuff for kids to do. But they actually do like very serious pottery classes too, like using the wheel, and I took a class there. I could afford to do it once because that stuff's expensive. And a friend took it with me, and I actually got a few pieces out of that class that I was pretty proud of. So something finally started to click there, which was cool. And maybe it is just about being in the right mental place to really absorb an idea and for it to sit with you in a way that makes sense and that you're willing to like maybe let go of some kind of control. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I've had that experience a little bit, and I keep trying different things, and sometimes still I just definitely have the still not quite working element going. But it's good to push ourselves and try different things than we're used to. Whether that's just new materials, new brushes, new dimensional elements, or like whole on power tools and MIG welders and stuff. No matter what, I think everything that we try and that we learn, we take back to what we do and what we know, and it will influence us and color how we see things in ways that we probably can't imagine. Ceramics, I have some foam clay I'm currently trying to figure out how to use. Foam clay keeps it fun. I think you'd mentioned that to me, and I actually looked it up and I considered getting some of it. And I bought paper clay. I have some paper clay too here, which is a whole weird, interesting thing that I tried to use and it didn't turn out that great. And I have boxes of Sculpey that I've never really done much with. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I love to try things. The problem is that good old ADHD kind of rabbit holes that I get sucked into. I must learn this one thing right now. Spend an hour researching it, hours researching it. Spend money that maybe would be wiser spent other ways to like get all the things to do the thing. And then you do it once and you never do it again. If anybody else relates to that, that is a for real thing that I've definitely been guilty of enough times in my life in the past. Do recommend getting some foam clay if you can. It's surprisingly affordable. Oh, nice. For what it is and how easy it is to handle. No clay everywhere. And I am planning actually on doing some stuff with fabric. I think I am having a little hesitation about just like jumping in and doing it yet. But yeah, I have at least 2 projects that have been in process for quite some time that's kind of how I'm planning on pulling them together, is doing some work with fabric actually. And I'm sitting on this idea that I maybe don't have the right things yet to work with or everything that I might need. So I haven't done it yet, but I really need to. Yes, do the thing and then the thing is done. Yes. Yeah, I love it. It's so true. Just do the thing. I need y'all to yell at me sometimes because I'm good at like saying it to people, but I'm not always good at taking my own advice. It's Sculpey and white and gray so you can simulate Damascus steel patterns. Ooh. Wow. I don't even know. I have multiple boxes of it and then I have a thing that has all these colors. I think the most I've ever used Sculpey was, I think I showed one of my, what do you call it, money dolls last stream. The one that was like the clown. When I did those, I used some Sculpey to create little pieces to go onto them that I would adhere to them and paint. Okay, let me take a step back again. Take a look. Okay. Okay. I think this is working for me. More or less. Getting close. No, don't tell me you're one of the 8 billion people who never listens to their advice. Never. I try. If for some reason, if somebody says it to me, it's profound. When I can say it and it makes sense, but I don't see how I don't always see that it relates directly to me. There's an amazing disconnect there. It's kind of incredible. And I think probably very human. It's sort of like knowing the thing, but doing the not doing the thing. And then I think we just sometimes have a hard time seeing things in ourselves. I know I do. And that's why I have a therapist. You've been going 2 hours. I know. It's I'm down to just mostly some burnt sienna paint on my palette. And it's all getting a little funky, as the acrylics do to me every time. I will take alternating layers of white and gray, then twist and fold them and try to make those wavy lines they get from the pattern welding steel. Wow, that's got to be so like detail oriented. It's got to be kind of therapeutic almost to work on something like that. Like almost like a meditation. Sometimes I love doing that kind of thing where it's just like getting sucked into like just working on the details of something, and you can get lost in it a little bit, and you just, I mean, I guess that's what you call like a hyper focus. Seeing it in others, clear as day. Seeing it myself, like trying to look through a thick canopy of trees. Yeah, you pretty much summed it up right there. Completely summed it up right there. And when I do see things in myself, I try to be very honest about it and candid about it, and use my experiences to talk about things in a way that I hope will be helpful to other people. And in the ways that, and I talk a lot about like letting go of perfectionism in your work. And I've gotten really good at doing that mostly with my artwork. Every now and again, you know, you start to fall back into some habits or something, but mostly quite good at that. However, complete disconnect when it comes to taking that advice and that skill that I've learned in the studio and applying it to other areas of my life. It's just, yeah, you just don't even see it or think about it there. It's really funny. So many things that I've like worked on here from the standpoint of my art. And it doesn't occur to me that those same skills and I have a coach that said that problems that we have like in your business or in areas of your work, I guess, even, those are problems that we have in life. It's just another expression of them. Whoa, that hit home. So being an artist is essentially, by and large, being self-employed. And I'm not the best at that. At doing marketing and the sales side of things, that's something I struggle with. And all of that has to do with the same things that I struggle with about myself in life. It's really, it's incredible and revealing, but also, oh, yikes, you know? You've taught me so much about letting go in art. Oh, good. I'm glad. I think that that is one area that I've accomplished something in a way that I think I can help others. And now that, and then taking that same advice and that same lesson and applying it to other areas where it would matter. That's my next lesson that I need to teach myself. That would be the next thing. So, I know I need to do that. Now I just need to be able to recognize the instances where I need to do that. And then practice, put it into practice. It's not showing up too much on camera, but maybe on the stream on Wednesday when there's some daylight in here, I'll be able to see some more of the subtleties on there too. It's a weird thing trying to capture, working on something this scale, trying to make sure that the whole thing's in the screen, but then you also like lose some of the small things, small elements. There, I think I'm starting to see it on the camera, on the screen. That will be extended. I'm gonna give her a nice clowny makeup and smile that will, so the red lips will extend. But as long as I had some of the paint here ready to go, just lay in a little bit of it. Okay. I'm feeling pretty good about this. How about that? Oh, gotta head out and take your dog to the park. Oh yeah, absolutely. Get your dog outside. I'm actually calling it a day at this point to, happy Halloween to you. If I won't see you on the next stream, and otherwise, hopefully on Thursday morning, I'll be finishing this bad gal. But yeah, there were a few moments today where I wasn't so sure about where this was going, but I'm pretty happy, I think, at the moment. I'll look at it again when I wake up in the morning. And yeah, next week will be more of the fun stuff. Getting her face done, and then just some tweaky details and maybe a few more depthful highlights in the hair. It's gotten a little flat in some areas. But yeah, good spot to call it. My palette's used up, and my cat is, I can tell he's getting close to using me for a scratching post again. Not before I cut his nails, at least. So thank you to everybody who's popped in and watched and joined and chatted with me and spent the evening here hanging out in my studio. I appreciate it so much. And yeah, thank you guys. I hope to see you on Thursday. And, you know, because you got to do it sometimes. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the things. And have an awesome week. I'll see you Thursday. Bye.